Unshelf Academy Centerpiece Design Workshop. We're so excited to have you here to create beautiful centerpieces for your home. My name is Sarah Kirkpatrick. I am the owner of Unshelf Design, and I am so fortunate to have Crystal Niznik here, owner of Crystal Home Styling. She is a fellow stager as well as a decorator, and she has been a really long time friend and supporter of my business. I also consider her a master stylist. The way she can grab any piece from anywhere and create beautiful centerpieces, which you're about to find out, is really a miracle. So I'm going to let her introduce herself and how she got into the styling business.
Hello, I'm Crystal Niznik, and as Sarah said, I am a home stager and interior decorator and seasonal decorator as well. I love doing special centerpieces, and I love doing Christmas trees and mantles and everything included in that. And I started back when I was a kid. I would redecorate my mom's home and much to her surprise, I'd come home to things changed, and have always loved it. And I feel really fortunate to be able to do this now as a career.
And you should watch her Instagram around the holidays. Her centerpieces that she does at her own home, they're Instagram worthy for sure. They're absolutely beautiful. And that's really where we are different and why she's going to be doing our big holiday spread at the end of this workshop. I'm much more of a permanent, less holiday themed decorator. She can turn a table into an absolute wonderland. So it's going to be really fun to watch. And let's get started. So this workshop, we're going to talk about the centerpiece basics, the things that you're going to need to build a centerpiece so that you can run around your house and grab what you need and build along with us. We're also going to talk about the difference between functional and formal arrangements. And also we're going to go over the 3 types of centerpieces. Dinner table centerpieces for your everyday dining, coffee table centerpieces, as well as holiday big themed centerpieces. And then we're going to talk about taking it home with you. So first, we're going to talk about our centerpiece basics. Why don't you let us know a little bit about the basics of centerpieces?
So you're going to want to think about where your centerpiece is going to be placed. Is it your coffee table, your dining table, a vignette, on a side table at your front door. You want to consider that. And then, does it need to be relocated easily? So, on your everyday dining table, you're going to want to get that out of the way for meal times. And then, what's the style of your home? You're not going to want to put something farmhouse with your modern, chic and sleek kitchen. It's not going to fit. And so you want to keep that streamlined, keep it all the same.
And would that be for holidays as well, or just sort of your everyday?
You know what? You should keep that in mind for holidays too. Whenever you're purchasing new items, think about what exists at home. When you go shopping, have pictures on your phone of what your home looks like, so you can easily refer and put your phone up to an item and say, does this go? And that's a great way to shop smartly and make sure that you're bringing home things that will coordinate with what you have.
Yeah. And also thinking about what the rooms adjacent to that space are. So when you're going from your living room into your dining room, you want to have photos so that you understand what that flow is going to be. So you're not walking from black and white minimalist when all of a sudden, boom, pop a color, unless that's really, you want a big surprise for your Easter dinner or something. But generally making sure that there's cohesion throughout the space. And so the building blocks of creating centerpieces need a few items. So we want to have some sort of vase, some sort of glass that really creates a beautiful shine. You also want to have something sculptural. I'm always on the lookout for sculptural items. It's very easy to find candles and vases, but sculptural items that speak to your design aesthetic are harder to come by. So keep an eye open when you're at garage sales, thrift stores. Crystal and I are both huge thrifters. So most of the things that we're using today are from thrifting for sustainability. But yeah, your sculptural items, candles, and it's a bonus if you can have a candle in a sculptural item. So that's, any sort of candle or typical vase, pillar candles, taper candles, whatever's going to suit your style. Also books, because Crystal will show you next how to use books. These ones, you can get really cute little ones immediately off of the retail store. Otherwise, we use wallpaper. So we just actually taped wallpaper into this book, and those create just really unique, beautiful statement styling pieces for you to use. Because a lot of people have really ugly books around, and this is just a nice way to make them usable. And then greenery. I love greenery or florals, but I find that greenery is, it just freshens up the whole look. So I'm going to leave these. Oh, last piece, most important, potentially, the tray. All kinds of trays. It can be a physical tray. It could be a placemat. It could be just something that grounds your items. So this tray, for our springy theme, I'm going to leave these with Crystal, and then she's going to show you sort of the foundations and how they go together to create a centerpiece.
Yeah. So the tray is really important to ground your centerpiece. Even if you're thinking of decorating, a table, if you don't have a tray, use a placemat or something that just creates a base for everything to sit on. So we'll start with books. And books are great because they add some layers and some texture, and you can raise your items up.
Why would you want to raise them?
So you're going to want to have different heights. Visually, it's more pleasing to have things in different heights. When they're all the same, it's like blah, blah, and like accessories on parade.
Yeah.
Just walking down the line.
Yeah.
So it's good to move. It creates movement for your eye, and it's just better to look. Yeah. So let's see. So we've got our greenery, and the importance of greenery is to add some life to your space. You don't have any plants, your room can feel really flat. So greenery is really important for that. And then the candle will add, and it adds light. And when you are decorating for every day and especially for holidays, you want to add light to things. So why is the Christmas tree so magical? Because it has light. And the more lights, the better. And so in your centerpieces, add a candle. Find a way to create that little bit of movement of light from the candle. It'll look really good. So let's see. You also want to highlight a statement piece. So that's where the books come in handy. They lift up your piece. And so this cute little bird sculpture, it's lifted up with that. And you can even, just have something simple, just like that. You could also add in a vase if you wanted. And you want to keep in mind when you're styling, odd numbers are better than even numbers. Right now, this would kind of be considered 4 because you have 4 touching the tray. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes it's better to just have 3.
And so what if, you could take a candle. This is obviously a pretty bulky piece, but you could just have this little candle. And would that still be considered 3 or would that be considered 4?
I think we would consider it 3 if we added this in. Put those on an angle, create a little bit of visual movement with it. Yeah.
So now, because these two are white, they kind of become one.
Yeah. And they're small enough, and they're not sitting on the base of the tray. I think that's the key is when whatever's touching the ground.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And as you can see, sometimes it takes a little finagling, moving stuff around. We are confined by the size of the tray. So I'll have a few trays options for you, because if you do want it to feel a little more spread out or have a larger ginger jar, you don't want it to feel super crushed. And, but that's kind of where the layering really helps.
Yeah.
So that's sort of our basics of, centerpiece foundations and the elements that you're going to need for that. And I want to talk a little bit about functional versus formal design. So we touched on it just a moment ago, making sure that the centerpiece that you're putting together is functional for the space that you need it in. People are saying, oh, I have kids, I can't have pretty things on the coffee tables. There still is a way to get around that, and also just decide on which spaces you can have more functional versus more formal centerpieces, things that are really easy to move. You can have a tray, which Crystal will show you shortly here, but you can have a tray on your coffee table that will hold remotes. And it'll also have a nice little candle with a flameless candle, and some little sculpture figurine. But then when the kids are having their friends over and it's cheap and popcorn, you can just pick that whole tray up and go and move it over out of the way so it doesn't get knocked over. So that kind of thing, keeping in mind, if you have a formal dining room that you don't use that often, style that beautifully so that every time you walk by, It lights up your life, your smile. It's really beautiful. When guests come in, they can see it, even if you're not sitting at that table. But then your everyday breakfast nook where the kids are eating and cereal's getting thrown and we're just creating beautiful family moments. Then you can have a more simplified centerpiece for that. So balancing where it is and then how functional and formal you need it to be. And so let's start with dining room, with both formal and functional. Why don't we talk about formal first? Because it's pretty.
Yeah. So
I'll grab it.
Thank you. All right. So this one you want to be inspiring. So I gathered 3 items. We've got more sculptural vase. We've got some greenery underneath these pink peonies. A candle adds light to our centerpiece. And this can be moved fairly easily. You want to be careful when you're doing things that are tall, moving them, but that can easily be moved and just create some beauty, and it can stay in your formal dining space. And really, even when you're eating, you know, if Sarah was sitting here and I'm there and there's people across, you can still see, and it's not going to impede your vision.
Yeah. But this also, as Crystal said, it's not really like it's movable, but it's, you know, it's a little bit precarious. So this would be something that you would put on a table that you don't have to move every single day or frequently. And also, if it is a formal dining spot, you don't need to have it on a tray. We could just put it on a runner and have a beautiful line across your dining room so that it's just static and it stays there. But if you do host more often, maybe once a week, then you just want it to be a little bit easier to move around, which is why we would put it on that grounding piece. And as you can see, even I mentioned, it's nice to have some sort of a runner when it is a formal design like that, because it still creates a foundation and a base. All right. And then what if I have a little breakfast nook where my family eats every single day and I don't want the...
Yeah. So then we're going to have things that are, you know, less breakable. So we could have a centerpiece like this that got lots of texture. I love the texture of this tray, and it can be more functional. So you can have fresh fruit on it. You can have a candle and a little plant, again, to add life and greenery to your space. And then this can be moved a lot easier than that one. Mm-hmm. Nothing is clinking and going to break so much, you know, this a little bit, but.
Yeah, and if you were really worried about that,
yeah, just take it down.
You can just only have that, and then you don't have to worry about any glass. Exactly. So then you can ask the kids to prep the table, and no matter what happens, all is well. Yeah, but I really love the idea of having some, I mean, these are not real limes, but you can do that too. But you could actually put in your lemons or whatever you need.
Get a beautiful wood bowl that holds your fruit. That's your fruit basket in your kitchen where everyone can grab fresh items quickly.
Yeah. And it's just beautiful all the time.
Yeah. And when you do that, have the same fruit, like one kind of fruit in there. It will look really beautiful.
You don't want your bananas, you know, and then
we all know how
it can get really awkward when
Yeah.
All right. So what's the difference then if this is dining? Why would you not use these on a coffee table? And what would you use instead?
So I think for your coffee table, if you're thinking of, let's say, your family room, you want it to be a little more functional and holding things that are going to be there anyways. So
I'm not going to have a lime while I'm watching TV.
Yeah, maybe, maybe not.
Also difficult to move. More difficult.
Yeah, it is a bit more difficult to move, especially for those movie nights that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay, let's see. Let's build something here.
So we're just going to build out what you would put on a coffee table. Crystal will walk you through all of the pieces and sort of why this differs from dining table and sort of the different elements that you would use in coffee instead of dining.
Yeah. So first, when you're creating a centerpiece for any space, you should consider the shape of the table that you're putting it on. So if your coffee table is a rectangle tray is great for that. Those centerpieces that we showed for dining tables are round. And so those work best on a round or a square table. When you have, a longer rectangle table, maybe you want to expand and have a rectangle tray, they're going to fit together better and it's going to feel better.
Square peg, round hole kind of thing.
Yeah.
I knew that would come in handy one day.
Yeah. So for the coffee table, let's say in your family room where you're watching TV often, maybe you have some books that you're using often, or or keep your journal there or whatever. Have those.
Oh, is this your journal?
Don't tell them. We got a few pieces here. So we've got books we're going to layer. This is going to bring things up out of the tray. If I had put this blue book down in the bottom, you wouldn't really see that. And so this just gives us a little bit of color when we're adding our height. Then I'm going to add some florals, which just add a little bit of beauty. Greenery again for life in the space. And it's kind of nice to have a bowl, and that can collect whatever
Lego,
have.
bobby pins.
Yeah, it can be a great place for things that just happen to be laying around. Throw them in there. People can see, oh, I left my hair tie in there. It is. Then, once again, we want to add some light. And so here's our sculptural candle holder, which works good. But you can also have those ones that have the lids. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. It doesn't have to be sculptural. We do have a lot of beautiful sculptural details here in this bowl. And then, beads. Fun to add some beads. Beads are they add some movement, different textures. I'm just going to turn it to myself so I can make sure.
And the reason for beads, which we'll show you with, and then I'll take them away, also is sometimes it just looks like you've placed items on a tray, and the beads sort of carry your eye so that it pulls all of those elements together and it spills out of the tray. So it doesn't just look like this confined little box of goodies. So I really love beads for that reason because you can see it's beautifully, draped over. It brings your eye from this over to here, pulls the white together. We specifically chose white beads that are small for this reason so that it's just an accent. But if you take it away, it sort of just looks like placed pieces.
It can, yeah. It's nice to add that extra little layer and kind of a finishing touch.
Yeah. And it really depends on the elements you're using. If this was really more of a flowy plant, you might not need something like that, but you just want something to
create movement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this would be your coffee table, and then, it's kids' popcorn night. Okay. Out of the way.
Yeah. And even, when it is here, your remotes can fit right in here.
Yeah.
They can kind of tuck in. If you don't have kids and you wanted to have your lighter for your candle, they could tuck in. You can have a beautiful jar of matches.
And sometimes we use things like boxes. This is a small one, but you can also have a box a big one where you could put your remotes inside so that they are still hidden.
Yeah. Keep everything neat and tidy. Or if you have pets that might be picking things up, maybe you want to tuck that away.
And if you're looking at this and you're like, how am I going to see the TV? There are also differences with functionality and formality. So this would be maybe your nicer front living room as opposed to the family room. And if you were going to turn it into the family room with kids,
swap out that greenery. You can even add this. And then this is the height now. This is the highest item. Creates kind of a triangle. It's good to always kind of have a triangle in your designs, in your centerpieces.
Yeah.
And just add some light. And
you could still, this color's not the best. Maybe this white one. You could still just put maybe a box or something if you're really worried about candles. It's not the best scenario. Life happens. We don't always get to live in magazines, but you still get a really beautiful centerpiece that can be functional. These are actual books that you read. You can have a place to put things. You can hide the remotes. So downsizing to make it work for you, better than not having anything at all.
Yeah.
Make you smile.
And that's the whole point, is to create something beautiful for you.
Yeah. Okay. So those are sort of your everyday centerpieces that you can have out all year long. But now I'm going to have a party. And you know what? The weather, we're in Calgary. You may not be watching this in Calgary, but if you are, you understand the weather goes like this sometimes. So whether you're celebrating just a beautiful season or specifically Easter or Christmas or, you know, whatever kind of holiday party, high tea party you're having, you want to go all out. You want to have something that really wows and impresses your guests or just your family or just you. Something that's really over the top, which is what Crystal specializes in when it comes to tablescape. So we're just going to go to, well, why don't you tell us, is there ever too much before you show us? Like what, is there ever too much?
Yes, there is.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know how you can tell other than for me, I can feel it. I look
when your heart says stop.
Yeah. It's like when people talk about adding garlic, you measure that with your heart.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And, I feel like for me, it's I measure with my heart. But
not everyone is a professional master stylist.
No, you're right. It can get to be too much if there's too many items. Like you need to have variety of height and you still need to see everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think if that's where stuff starts getting lost, now you're not actually appreciating the beauty of each element that you've put in.
Yeah.
It just kind of becomes a stream of decor. Okay. And so for theme parties, I think you touched on a little bit already that you still want it to match the style of your home, but you can go a little bit more glammy or whatever. You can emphasize that a little bit to create a mood. So what kind of mood and theme are we going with right now? What are you going to show us?
Well, we're going to do spring because it's spring today.
Yay.
So we're going to create a springy centerpiece that could be for Mother's Day or even Easter. Or just like,
or it could be honestly in the dead of winter and you're just like, I need some color in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be nice and fresh.
Okay, my favorite part of the workshops, the live demonstration. Crystal is we're just going to take a second, cut, and we're going to clear this off and start anew. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Crystal, I love it.
Oh,
this is so springy. Like my whole day just got so much brighter.
Oh, good.
I love the color. I want to just kind of walk through why and how, and then everyone sort of saw the sped up version of how this got put together and some of the detail shots. But I did notice you have your flanking candles, which I was like, oh, that's so smart to kind of anchor.
Yeah, they're kind of our bookend.
Yeah, exactly. So what other elements, why did you start with what you started with, and sort of just really briefly walk us through some of the whys?
Yeah. Okay. So I like to start with my largest items first, things that I know that I want. So I placed this vase with the florals here, and then this one as well here. Sometimes I create a centerpiece that is more symmetrical, high point and coming down, but this one I wanted to be asymmetrical. And so I added this height here and then balanced it with the candle here and then repeated a candle here. We got the bookends. Let's see what else. I add. So I added the pedestals that I mentioned to raise things up. And then they also kind of become another tray like we spoke about. And so I have kind of a little vignette on each of those.
Yeah. And what you could do when you're hosting is leave this for everyone to come in and see beautifully. And then when it's time for charcuterie and snacks, you just kind of clear off what's on these and you can put your snacks right onto the tray. So it actually becomes like a a working piece of art.
Yeah. Yeah. It becomes functional.
Yeah. Functional. Yay. And what if it's just too beautiful to dismantle? What if it just would totally break my heart to have to take it down so that people can see each other? Where else could I use something like this where it has an impact?
So a great place for this would actually be on a buffet or side table that you have in your dining space. So if it was here, you know, we're sitting at the table here and it can be here and you can enjoy it there and it can stay longer. You don't need to dismantle it. You're not worried about seeing people across the table. And it can stay for a while. And
then it becomes more of a grazing buffet. You can put your food in and amongst it. And
if you have a nice deep buffet, you kind of just tuck the food in amongst the items that you have. And even then you've got the candles lit. They're far enough away from people. No one's brushing their hair on it or anything.
Or just wickless. You could battery operated.
Yeah.
Light is light sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you just want to make sure that things around it are not.
Yeah. You want to be careful not to be too close to other things. Yeah.
And that would be a beautiful, right behind you as well. Just, all your guests are looking and you can see this beautiful thing behind you for the whole meal. It's like it's a piece of art. It's a showstopper.
Yeah. And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not meant for sitting down at.
No.
This is meant to be a showstopper. So it'd be great for a party where no one is sitting at the table.
Yeah.
Like you've pulled the chairs away and all the chairs are being used in the living room for extra seating there. And you have a grazing table around.
Yeah.
This is perfect for that.
Yeah. Very springy. And so this is sort of a not generic, but for spring, you can really steam this up for holidays that are very specific.
Yeah. We could switch out the flamingo for a bunny for Easter. And you could take that out.
I don't think I could lose the flamingo. I'm going to have to put both.
Yeah. It's so cute. It makes it almost summer.
Yeah.
It's kind of, we're pulling.
Yeah. You just pull out a few things and make it summer all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah. You're really
changing it. Yeah. Sprinkle some dust for winter. And
a pineapple here instead of the limes. Actually keep the limes because they've got great greenery.
Yeah.
But add a pineapple, somewhere else.
Yeah, so it can be, I would take it all down and start again for your next holiday just so that it feels fresh and exciting every single time.
Yeah.
It's like the reason, like you said, Christmas trees, you put lights on and also they're so special because they're gone and then they're back. And if they were just up all the time, it wouldn't be the same impact. So,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure this is just a temporary wow. And then get back to your basics.
Yeah.
I would love to see any of the centerpieces that you've created. So please tag me on Instagram at unshelf.design. You can also tag Crystal. Your handle is at Crystal
Home Styling. Yeah. I'd love to see those. That would be so exciting for me.
I know. I just see that your imagination, your creativity gets some ideas for us too. So please share that. If you are in Calgary, both of us do home styling and decorating. No competition here. We have very different aesthetics. We're great friends. So definitely reach out to either of us for a discovery call if you want something in your home. If you are looking for more holiday centerpiece decorating, definitely call Crystal. If it's more of a larger home, then both of us would be happy to take your calls. And then also, if you love this workshop, there are other workshops online that are coming out. There are a few for free, as well as some larger ones that are paid. So please check out our other workshops. And again, if you're in Calgary, we do host some in person. So any final thoughts on centerpieces?
Just have fun. Shop your house. You don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money. And if you do go out, shop at thrift stores or swap with your friends and just find ways to bring together things that you love and bring a smile to your face.
I can't end it any better than that. So thank you so much for joining us at Unshelf Academy for the Centerpiece workshop. Again, thank you, Crystal, so much for coming in and showing us your work of art. And again, I'm Sarah Kirkpatrick with Unshelf Design, and we'll see you at the next workshop.